Next up, we've got the G's starting with a capital. I like the G, it's nice and loopy. We are gonna start in the middle of the header. Middle of the header. And you are gonna pull down and loop around to the top of the header. Pull down and go up to the middle of the X, and then pull back down, loop around into the footer, and end in a little dot. Okay, so one more time. You start in the middle of the header, loop around and up to the top of the header, pull down to the bottom of the X, loop up, and then pull down and loop around in the footer, and come up and end in a little dot. Let's do that again. Maybe I'll zoom in a little bit for you. Okay, you are going to start in the middle of the header. Pull down a little before looping around and up to the top of the header. Around, pull down to the bottom of the X space. Loop up towards the top of the X before pulling down the footer, looping around and up, and end in a dot. Let's do that one more time. Start in the middle of the header, pull down, loop around into the header, loop out, pull down to the bottom of the X, push up into the X before pulling down to the footer, looping around and up just a little to end in a dot. Let's do that one more time. I'm going to grab a little more ink, and I'm going to start at the top or in the middle of the header, loop around and up into the header, curve around, pull down to the bottom of the X, loop up into the X before pulling down into the footer, looping around and forming a dot. Do that uppercase G across your whole line. When you are done, you can move on to your lowercase g. Okay, so I'm going to grab some more ink on my pen. Lowercase g takes up the X space and the footer. So I'm going to start at the bottom of the X, push up in an entrance stroke, then I'm going to lift my pen, create an oval in the X space that overlaps with that entrance stroke, lift my pen, start at the top of the X, pull down, curve around to the bottom of the footer, loop up. One more time, I'm going to create an entrance stroke by pushing up from the bottom of the X, create an oval by pulling down. Looks like I need some more ink. Okay, create an oval that overlaps with that entrance stroke. Then I'm going to start at the top of the X, pull a line down into the footer, loop around and out. One more time, I'm going to start an entrance stroke, create an oval that overlaps with that entrance, start at the top of the X, pull a line down, loop it around and out. Again, I'm going to do an entrance stroke, oval that overlaps with that entrance stroke, trying to pay more attention to my slant this time. Start at the top of the X, Pull a line down into the footer, loop around and out. Grab some more ink and do it again. Okay. Entrance stroke. Oval but overlaps the entrance stroke. Start at the top of the X, pull a line down into the footer, loop around and out. Again, entrance stroke. Oval, overlapping that entrance stroke. Start at the top of the X, pull a line down into the footer, loop around and go out. Do some lowercase g's across that whole line, and you have come to the end of the video.